Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to episode number 28 of the Detroit Lions franchise here on Madden NFL 21. Today we're going to finish up the 2021 NFL Draft Day 3 rounds 4 through 7, as well as take a look at some roster moves post-draft. If you're excited for this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. In the Day 2 episode, we picked up two wide receivers, Tyler Vaughn out of USC as well as Seth Williams out of Auburn. I separated this draft into three parts. If you like this concept, let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see the next year's draft like this, or if you have a better format for how you think I should do the draft episodes. Please let me know as well in the comments. It was Thanksgiving break, and I didn't record a bunch because I was hanging out with family, so I thought maybe stretching this out through a 3-day period like they do in real life was a pretty cool concept. But now we're into Day 3, starting with round 4. Only got a couple guys on our board left. Two of them are wide receivers, and we've already taken two wide receivers. So that puts, in my opinion, middle linebacker Nate Landman at the top of our board. I think he could help us in pass coverage. Our linebackers weren't the best in that regard this past year. So going into round 4, our first pick, we do take Nate Landman at number 10. Says we reached 67 overall, but he does have that hidden dev. So that will help us a little bit. So pass catcher, I don't know why his picture didn't load in the background, but nonetheless, he's got some speed, 70 zone, so could maybe develop into a better player. Basically only a third down linebacker right now, as he has horrible block shedding. So could be working our way into our system, kind of like what Jalen Reeves-Maybin did this past year. Now, for these rounds, I'm only going to take a look at some of the key players selected instead of going through every single pick. And Chris Olave with the Dolphins was a good one. They continue an amazing draft. Zamir White went to our division rivals in the 4th round. Very good pickup by Minnesota. He'll help spell Dalvin Cook in that background. And then Tutu Atwell from the Washington football team. He's a nice wide receiver, 21 years old, 5'9", has blazing speed. So Tutu Atwell, a nice addition to help Dwayne Haskins out. Ravens, they picked up tight end Matt Bushman out of BYU. A nice value pick here in round number 4. He's a good pass-catching tight end. And in the 5th round, we went to go take a look at our board, and nobody really on my board as of right now in order to be selected. I did not like the way it was falling currently. I took a look at some of the linemen left because we do need help on the O-line, and they're all kind of no good options left. So we decided to trade this selection, to a team. As we'll take a look at a second. We go with Las Vegas, taking a future 4 from Las Vegas to add some more draft capital for next year. That'll get us out of the 5th round. A couple of 5th round selections. The Dolphins continue. I think they got an A+ this draft. Kylan Hill out of Mississippi State. And then Richie Grant went to Cleveland. That's probably the best pick of the 5th round. A nice free safety. I mean, he plays an amazing center fielder. 81 zone coming out of college is phenomenal. So he gives the Cleveland Browns a nice, solid center field safety of the future. In our first of 2 6th round selections, taking a look at the draft board, we only had one player on the draft board, so decided to go running back here. Trey Ragas, the former Louisiana prospect. I thought he was very interesting. Not that we need a running back, but he does have hidden dev, so he could work his way into the rotation. I know we have Swift and I know we have Kerryon Johnson, but Trey Ragas, if something happens to one of those two running backs, because Kerryon Johnson did get injured a good couple of times last year, I think he can fill that void. He's not much of a pass catcher, so that kind of limits him to being just on the ground, but Trey Ragas is the pick here with our first of 2 6th round selections. Speaking of which, you go back to the 6th round and look at our draft board. We really only have one player left, and it's another wide receiver. It's Daz Newsome. Now, I know we've already picked 2 wide receivers, but we're going to go one more. I mean, he's got good spec catch coming out. Says it's a good pick, 66 overall normal dev out of North Carolina. Daz Newsome is our last selection here in the draft. Kind of has some similar skill sets to Seth Williams we selected earlier. But that'll do it for our draft. As we take a look at going into the next stage, adjusting the roster. We only made one roster adjustment, and that's moving strong safety Anthony Levine Sr., who we signed in the offseason, to free safety. And I know I touched on this earlier in the offseason episodes. It was either him or Tracy Walker getting moved to free safety. And we decided to go Anthony Levine Sr. and keep Tracy Walker as our strong safety going into the season. So that'll bring us to the preseason next time. But before we even get to the preseason, we did have to make some roster moves, sign some undrafted free agents, as well as beef up the rest of the roster. And here's all the signings we made. A couple of offseason undrafted free agents, as well as some veterans to bring into preseason camp. See Ben Bushwazzle gets brought back, Holton Hill, a couple of D tackles, Sean Mannion, a quarterback as well. Take a look at some of the key ones. Undrafted rookie running back out of Buffalo, Jarrett Patterson. Obviously, we drafted another running back, but hidden dove I couldn't pass up without maybe keeping him as a practice squad stash. And a couple other players, Shamar Stephen, a veteran tackle who's familiar with Mike Zimmer's system in Minnesota, provides some depth in the tackle position. And I think he has a shot to potentially be a rotational player. Cameron Good is an undrafted rookie outside linebacker out of Cal. We took a couple of these to push Christian Jones' position because he did decrease. So I want to give him some, backups who could push him in preseason training camp. Christian Ellis is the other one undrafted out of Idaho. Two similar undrafted players. He got some speed and a little bit of zone coverage ability. Probably the biggest acquisition we made after the draft was Holton Hill, bringing him in on a one-year deal. Very good man corner. He also has, history in Mike Zimmer's system in Minnesota. A couple of other key signings. Greg DeLeg got signed in Cincy. Broncos very active after the draft. Solomon Tallis, Tyrod Taylor, and Aaron Jones goes to Denver. That's probably the biggest free agent signing. Mitchell Trubisky will be the backup in Cleveland, and they also brought in Anthony Hitchens. Went over to Arizona. Jason Pierre-Paul will be an edge rusher for the Cardinals. We will see them this season as well as Mason Crosby, the veteran Packer in Arizona now. Chargers, they brought in Pernell McPhee. The ex-Bear is going to Los Angeles. The Colts bring in DJ Swearinger, a player that we looked at this past offseason. Eric Reed is in New York after taking a year off. And then going over to the other New York Jets, they signed now Super Bowl champion Jared Cook. Our Packers, they brought in Philip Lindsay and Jake Butt to give some more offensive weapons, so that'll be more fun when we play them twice a year. Cameron Wake goes to New England, trying to beef up their linebacker core. They also brought in Blake Martinez, trying to get back to the Super Bowl. Los Angeles Rams, they brought in a pair of corners to match with Jalen Ramsey. Joe Hayden and Levi Wallace will try to man that other side of the field. Josh Rosen goes to the Washington football team to back up Dwayne Haskins. And the Saints, they brought in Marvin Jones Jr., the ex-Lion, to fill that Emmanuel Sanders role that was vacated after Sanders retired. And Brooks Reed went back to Minnesota. So here is a look at our roster going into preseason. Not a lot of moves. Matthew Stafford still our starting quarterback. Be interesting to see what happens in preseason. We got a lot of new wide receiver depth. Cordell Patterson, Tyler Bonds, Daz Newsome, Seth Williams, just to name a few. Offensive line still not in the best of shape. Joe Dahl at left guard, and then right tackle is up in the air between Crosby and Vaitai. That'll be a position battle to watch in preseason. Defensive line, I think, got stronger, obviously, with the addition of Marvin Wilson and Shamar Stephen. And then outside linebacker is basically the same. Might be another weakness this year. Didn't have the most salary cap space, so I couldn't fill all positions. But it'll be interesting to see what the Detroit Lions do in the 2021 season, year 2 of the franchise. Preseason will be on Thursday. I'll have preseason highlights coming to you guys then. And then we'll start week 1 the following Monday. So that's the outlook for the Detroit Lions series. Let me know what you guys think of our draft, our acquisitions after the draft. Give me your prediction record as well as what do you think the Lions will go this year. That'll do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. I'm going to try to ramp up the uploads again. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.